He got a commendation, my sergeant, and he got written up at the same time, because that's right, never trust a taser. Normally when you employ them, if there's two people, so you and I are working, or if you're going to utilize a taser, I'm going to have the secondary weapon out. There are two probes that come out of the taser. If they both don't take, you might as well spit on them. He would have buried that hatchet in his head.
The connection's not, the circuit's not.
Yes.
Okay.
But on the other hand, just like with the Cheif down jackets, taser doesn't have to go into an individual. It will transmit the voltage in amps through 2 inches of clothing.
Okay.
But it was just lucky. Like I said, if that had been, I don't want to mention the other village, Hancock, Binghamton, we know what happened here, they would have had to shoot the guy. So he went down, and our taser is instantaneous. Once you get the 5-second ride, you're absolutely cognizant. You can use it in water. I have all kind of documentation.
So it gives us, so you're saying it gives more options for the corrections?
It does. There's another step in the use of force continuum.
Intermediary before we get to the deadly force option.
You know, you bring out the collapsible baton or the baton, and you take a strike in the shoulder blade, you miss, and you cause a bone to go into the brain. I like the tasers. It makes my female officers hit like a 250-pound guy.
True.
You know, and they don't have to close with this individual. But yeah, I would definitely attempt to. And there are grants out there to get tasers.
Yes,
they're not cost prohibitive.
So we can do this without, if it's effective and allowable, it's not cost prohibitive because the government will help us to get that.
Exactly.
Okay, so it makes sense. Because not in being the sheriff, it's not only about what the law, I mean, for voters. It's not just, well, he's the top cop. We're also looking at, well, this is a man who represents us. He's a man of the people, because we're electing.
That is correct.
So there's that personal connection, I believe, more so as opposed to officers that are patrolling who are hired, that's their career. We're electing you, say, in this case.
Yes.
And so, in that regard, I think it's interesting to know more about you and some of the issues of the day that everyone has.
Okay. But
they're also kind of related to the work as a sheriff as well. And as we mentioned before, and I want to go back over it a little bit, you're familiar with the cigarette tax issue and the Native Americans?
Yes.
Okay. For those who aren't as familiar, recently Governor Patterson stated that the Native American Indian tribes have been selling cigarettes without the New York State tax, $4.35, which is allowable by law for them to do so. But he wants to still collect that tax. Part of his process will be to, as he says, recover the taxes from people leaving Indian lands. I take that as being a statement of intruding on the Fourth Amendment rights of me. I'm driving in a car. The only way they can know if I have cigarettes is to stop my car, search my car, and look for the cigarettes. And God knows what they're going to ask me for $4.35 then. I don't know, but that's not probable cause. You can't just stop my car and search for cigarettes. I see that as Fourth Amendment. Do you agree? Do you have an opinion on that? Am I misstating? Am I misstating the position?
No. Basically speaking, what you're saying is right. How they would go about it, I'm not sure. Before they do anything, if people aren't aware of this, you know, everyone talks about the FBI, the FBI, the FBI. No better police officers than my sheriff's deputies. The only difference is that the FBI has the Justice Department research before a warrant or anything, before they move, excuse me, they're going to know what they can do and what they can't do. And I'm sure that this matter will be researched, because you're absolutely right, you got to have PC. You just don't stop people.
Yeah.
You're infringing on the rights. If they stop you and they say, well, your tail light's out, or the license plate, rear license plate light is out, and there's a ton of cigarettes sitting there. Let's face it, this is some, I'm not saying that they're targeting, but they're coming off an Indian reservation. But then again, on the other hand, it is amazing. I was really shocked, from the area that we come, that Native Americans, it goes by the mother side. I see some actually Native Americans, they look white to me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would do whatever the county attorney says you have to do, if it's constitutional, unconstitutional, but deep in my heart, I'm not a smoker any longer. I smoked for 30-some years, so it really doesn't impact me, but as a lead law enforcement agency, if it becomes law, then we'd have to do it.
No, I can understand that. This question isn't about the law. I understand. If it's law, you're going to do your job.
Right.
But but if I'm understanding you correctly, you see question with what he's stated. We'll say it as that. You can see question with what he's stated so far.
Absolutely, and I can see what the end result's going to be, because I spent buku weeks at the Indian reservations, and I know probably how this is going to come to fruition. It could be some violence.
Confrontation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have a similar feeling. That's something I know it's something that people are talking about right now.
Yeah.
Another issue that's currently out there, not quite the same, is the 9/11 mosque. Very big issue for all of us in New York. There is, now, to clarify, I think we all agree, I don't know any American who doesn't agree, they have the constitutional right. The mosque can be built, they have the right to it, freedom of religion, absolutely, to express themselves. That's not a question. The question, I believe, is, should they? Now, this is more of a personal question, this is more of a individual expression. Do you see it as, am I correct, do you see it the same way as I do?
As to, should they attempt to...
That it's a question of should they. Obviously, it's not a question of constitution.
The way I look at it is, if they have the money to purchase the land, and I think that they should. I mean, they're American citizens. How can you stop them? You know what I'm saying? It's just like if you and I were multi-billionaires, and I said, Mike, let's start a business. We're going to go to Soviet Union or Bosnia, anywhere. Let's buy a square piece of land there. We couldn't do it.
No.
This is a great country, so yeah, I think that they should be able to do it.
Oh no.
Am I in favor of it? Absolutely not.
Well, see, that's the difference. I'm not questioning, and we agree.
Right.
We agree. They absolutely have the right to do it.
Right.
That's not a question.
Yeah.
But in terms of the morality of it, perhaps I should word it as that. Is it productive? Is it productive to the goal they're saying? I may be wording this wrong.
I don't know if they're trying to...
It's a bad idea.
I don't know if they're trying to make a statement or not, because they're opening themselves up to a lot of ire. I mean, let's face it, how Americans are, but if they have the money, it's their constitutional right to build. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. And I agree. That is ultimately the answer there.